everyone, so today I'm out with Ivy and we are going to be working on our recall and our retrieving. With both exercises I'm focusing on getting her to come into my front and not whiz past and then come back to me, so that's what we're going to be focusing on. To do that throughout the exercises I'm going to be using a placeboard to give her a target area, so hopefully that will help so she knows exactly where she needs to be. I'm going to set ourselves up so that my back is against a hedgerow, so again hopefully that's going to be a physical barrier to stop her running past and help create some good habits. I'm going to be crouching down when she's coming towards me, and I'm going to be using my arms as a bit of a funnel, which is one of the things that Lucy suggested to me in a bid to try and encourage her towards my feet essentially. So that's the focus, that's the tactics that we're going to use to try and help. We're going to build the exercises up nice and gradually for her, and let's see how we get on. So as with every placeboard session I started out with a little exercise just reminding her that when she's on the board she gets lots of good stuff. So a string of treats when she's on the board, then I release her off, and because she plays this game so often she jumps straight back on in order to get her next string of treats. This is just building some value before we start the session. So the first exercise we did, I've popped her on the board, thrown a piece of food out and released her to go and get it, and then encouraged her back onto the board. So just working nice short distances, getting her in the habit of practicing going off the board, turning around and coming straight back onto the board in order to get a reward. So one thing to bear in mind is how I'm setting this up. So you'll notice that I stand by her side and send her so she runs straight off of the board. I'm doing that because I'm just conscious of her joints. She is a young dog, so I don't want her doing any sharp twists or turns, which she would be doing if I was throwing it over her head. Also, for any dog, if it's the beginning of the session, we want to make sure that they're warmed up before they start doing any of those sorts of behaviours. And also, it's a good starting point because when we go on to retrieving, she'll be retrieving from that position and that setup. So that starts to build some good habits. So then the next exercise we moved on to was doing some recalls from the sit stay onto the board. So starting off with really nice short distances, practicing getting her straight on, and she did nearly knock me over at that point. And then gradually building up a little bit of distance with that. One of the things that you'll notice is that on a few of the repetitions she lies down when I walk away. Now I've gone back and forth on whether or not I think this is okay, and I've concluded that for us and for what we are going to be doing in the future, I am happy to accept the lie down as long as she remains in position, and so that's why I don't go back and correct that. So as we were doing this, I noticed that she would come onto the board and I would mark that, but then she would jump straight off of the board towards my treat pouch, which was placed on the side of my hip. So one of the adjustments I made throughout the exercise was to move the position of my treat pouch to my centre so that she was running straight onto the board and then staying there. And then on this repetition I go out and I stand there as I was before, but this time I walk back to her just to give her a reward for remaining in place and to help stop her from anticipating that she's going to be recalled every time. Then we finish that little block on one last one straight onto the board and staying in position, so a nice successful one to take a break on. So this was our little break. I've got my foot on the lead as the cue for her to know that we are having a little chill. She's lying down, I'm not paying her any attention, just occasionally dropping a piece of food between her paws to reward her for being calm and relaxed whilst we wait. So then we move on to practicing the same behaviour pattern but with the retrieve. So I've gone out and placed a dummy. As I walk back I do remind her to sit because I'm conscious that she's not done a lot of steadiness, and then send her with her cue. She runs out beautifully, picks it and comes straight back, and that one was beautifully delivered, so really pleased with that. She does then pop herself off of the board because I've changed the position of my treat pouch, which I should have been more conscious of. So then we repeated the same exercise but with a different dummy, so we use a fur covered dummy in this instance, and I like mixing up the dummies we use so she doesn't just get used to one thing, she's happy picking up a variety of different items. However, what happened in this instance was very interesting. She clearly values the fur a lot more than the canvas, and so you'll see she was reluctant to bring it back. Now, I didn't handle this particularly well. I should have clicked as soon as her paw touched the board the first time, but I expected a little bit too much before doing that. So
That was a good learning for me. And when I did click, she did release the dummy, and I threw her reward away just to ensure that there wasn't any conflict when I picked the item back up. Then, taking learnings from that experience, I repeated the same exercise again with the rabbit, but this time as she was coming towards the board, I clicked and then dumped a load of food on it, not looking for the delivery hand, just bringing it straight back to me, which is what we successfully achieved. Then we completed that once more with the fur-covered dummy and then again with a feather-covered dummy, and both were really successful, so I was really pleased with that. One thing to note is that she is a really keen retriever, so I'm okay doing this number of repetitions. Some dogs that aren't so keen, you might not want to do as many repetitions in one session. You just need to kind of call that based on your own dog. But after we'd finished that repetition, we then had another little break before then moving on.
So really pleased with that. I'm now going to do a little experiment and move away from the hedge and see what happens. We're going to do it with just the recall to start, and yeah, see what happens.
So I then take Ivy's lead off to then start the next exercise, and one thing that I have picked up from Jane Arden is that when I take the lead off, I then give her a string of treats. The idea being that she learns that when the lead comes off, it doesn't mean bugger off, which is what Tia thinks. She thinks the lead comes off and then I focus on Mum. And then she successfully recalled straight onto the board without the need for the hedge barrier, so I was really pleased with that, especially compared to our last session that we did. Did a couple more of them and then we called it a day, as I figured we'd probably had enough retrieving for one session, but really pleased with the progress that she's made.
Okay, so that is our session complete as it just starts to rain, so good timing. Really nice to see that we're making some progress in both of those areas actually, particularly if I think about the recall video that I published with her last compared to this one. Definite improvement, which is nice to see. And also her chilling in between is getting a lot better. It's a lot more, as soon as my foot goes on that lead, she lies down. So also nice to see that she's getting used to that. But overall, productive session. Still lots more to work on, but I am pleased with that. So that's it for now.